Heirs of promises, prisoners of hope, return to your stronghold, O prisoners of hope. Today I declare that I will restore to you double. 12 tribes of Israel, Aser, Naphtali, Zebulun, Issachar, Manasseh, Dan, Ephraim, Gad, Benjamin, Reuben, Judah, Simeon. Much of the book of Joshua, chapters 13 through 21, deals with the distribution of the land of Canaan among the various tribes of Israel. Between the references to places, peoples, and tribes, we can see a land that was already Israel's inheritance, but which at the same time they did not yet completely possess. Yeshua's death assures us that we have now inherited the land that Adam and Eve once lost. However, we are still captives of the hope of receiving it. The land that was lost. The land that Elohim gives. Conquer the land. Keep the gift. The recovered land. The land that was lost. So the Lord Elohim banished him from the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which he had been taken. Elohim appointed Adam and Eve rulers of this world and placed them in the Garden of Eden. When they disobeyed Elohim, they were expelled from there. They had lost dominion over the earth. But Elohim had a plan for humanity to recover the lost land. In the first phase, he gave Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob a small piece of land, Canaan. Gradually, the possession would be extended to the whole earth, as the knowledge of Elohim was reaching every people and nation. Israel's disobedience led to a change in the regional plans. Elohim raised up children of Abraham from the stones to inherit his promises as the land that Elohim gives. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. Just as Adam and Eve did nothing to deserve the Garden of Eden, Abraham and his descendants did nothing to deserve the promised land. It was a gift from Elohim. We can compare this gift to a rented house. Although Israel could live in Canaan, the land remained Elohim's possession. The owner of the house is the one who takes care of the maintenance of the roof, the plumbing, etc. Similarly, Elohim is the one who provided the rain, protected the crops, etc. So that Israel could live confidently in the land that Elohim gave them. As in Eden, there was rent to pay, obedience. It was really a matter of relationship, loving Elohim and enjoying his blessings. Yesterday as today, it remains a matter of faith. Conquer the land and divide it as an inheritance among the 9 tribes and half of the tribe of Manasseh. When Joshua was old, Elohim commanded him to divide the land among the tribes of Israel, including the unconquered territories. The land was theirs, but they still had to make an effort to possess it. Elohim does not act independently of men. He wants us to do our part. Although they fought for victory, their success was not their own merit, but Elohim's. Like Israel, we can do nothing to obtain a salvation and inherit the promises. But if they fought, what should we do today? Once saved, Elohim requires two things of his heirs, obedience and gratitude. Keep the gift. The land must not be sold permanently because the land is mine, and you reside in my land as foreigners and strangers. Once the inheritance was received, there were special rules governing the use of the land, the sabbatical year and the jubilee. The sabbatical year, a large-scale extension of the Sabbath, allowed the land to rest. Failure to observe this law was one of the reasons for the exile. The jubilee involved the return of lands to their original owners, avoiding social inequalities. In essence, this is the main purpose of the gospel, to erase the distinction between rich and poor, employer and employee, privileged and underprivileged, putting us all on equal footing by recognizing our complete need of Elohim's grace. The recovered land. They will live in the land I gave to my servant Jacob, the land where your ancestors live. They and their children and their children's children will live there forever, and David my servant will be their prince forever. Because of their disobedience, Israel was uprooted from their land and cast into Babylon. but Elohim did not abandon them. He promised to bring them back, give them the land forever, and set David as king over them. But Israel did not possess that land forever, and David had been dead for a long time. What then does this prophecy mean? Here Yeshua is proclaimed, the true king who reigns eternally. He who through his blood assures us of an eternal inheritance. He is the fulfillment of all the promises. In him we receive blessings now and in the future. The promised inheritance, soon our feet will set foot in the promised land. Through disobedience to Elohim, Adam and Eve had lost Eden, and because of sin, the whole earth was cursed. But if Elohim's people followed his instruction, their land would be restored to fertility and beauty. Elohim himself gave them directions in regard to the culture of the soil, and they were to cooperate with him in its restoration. Thus the whole land, under Elohim's control, would become an object lesson of spiritual truth. As in obedience to his natural laws, the earth should be produce its treasures. So in obedience to his moral law, the hearts of the people were to reflect the attributes of his character.